Welcome back to the Radio Hard YouTube channel. Tonight, Katie, the blonde in front of fear, and me are going to talk about Candyman. Say his name 5 times. Candyman comes from the Books of Blood by Clive Barker, written back in the 80s. And a lot of differences between Candyman, the story, and the movie. And this is a direct sequel, by the way, to the original movie. You're kind of questioning that until something happens in the movie, which you've seen in the trailer. Of course, Vanessa Williams returns to play the woman that she played originally. This is a different actor who's playing Baby Anthony. But the story, The Forbidden, is a 17-page story in the 6th volume of the Books of Blood anthology, again, written by Clive Barker, who, if you're not familiar with his name, he also created Hellraiser and Pinhead. But as is in that story as well, how Pinhead is a completely different kind of character like he is in the movie. And the same thing is for Candyman. In Candyman, in the story, he has waxy yellow skin, blue lips, and red hair. Some people could say maybe he's Irish. It's not really known. But the story of Helen going to look for the story of Candyman and summoning him is there. But there's no a story of a black slave who fell in love with a former black slave who's a painter, fell in love with a woman, and dad didn't like it and caused all sorts of commotion for him to become the cursed ghost that we know and love it or hate today. So a lot of things have changed from Barker's original story, and it seems like Hollywood has their own way of interpreting Barker's work, whether he is working on it or not. And Barker had little to do with this story, and this was, of course, mostly produced by Jordan Peele, and the director is, can't remember her name. It's
Nia DaCosta.
Thank you, Nia DaCosta. So
who also wrote part of the movie too.
Right, and Jordan really made sure that everyone was aware he did not direct this movie. He wanted Nia DaCosta to take all the credit for it. And like most films that we are reviewing and everyone else is talking about, this was supposed to come out last year, literally like a year ago. Last year, roughly around Halloween. Would have made more sense to come out in Halloween, but I think October is already becoming too full of a month. We have Eternals, Venom, Halloween. God only knows if they're going to stay on schedule with the pandemic the way it is. But we got Candyman, probably one of the most highly anticipated films of the year, if not one of the 2 most highly anticipated horror movies of the year. This and Halloween Kills go neck and neck. I think they're different audiences. I think they're the same audiences. I think people have opinions about the sequels. I don't care if your opinions are of bigotry and stupidity and blah, 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 blah. I understand there's some problems with the movie. I'm not blind to the oh, that was really okay. We're getting it. We get it. And then they need to move on with the plot line. But I think it was an amazing spiritual sequel to the original film. You don't need to see 2 and 3. They don't ever mention anything about 2 and 3. So no mention of Veronica Cartwright's character or Donna DeMarco's character from Baywatch. We don't care. It's the original and this one. That's it. It's kind of like Halloween. Didn't they do that with Halloween, Katie? Halloween and Halloween?
Well, with the original Halloween and the one that came out in 2018, 2019, yeah, all of the sequels in between. I think even part 2 that had Jamie Lee Curtis did not exist.
And by the way, this is not something new. If you are a fan of cinema, there's a certain creature from Japan that has done this numerous times. It's just the original film and then a sequel. To hell with all the other times he's shown up in cinema. We obviously started fresh when we redid the Big G. But yeah, the Japanese have done this numerous times with Godzilla. It's the original film, that's it. And then years later, this other Godzilla returns. So I really do think that Universal, Blumhouse, they're taking cues from that happening because, the Bond films haven't quite done that yet. There's not it's just Dr. No, and then a bunch of, years later, Bond does a thing. I guarantee that's going to happen at some point. We're going to get an aged out old man James Bond played by Pierce Brosnan or something like that one day. I guarantee it. But in the meantime, we have this one. Katie's going to give us her thoughts and ideas after my rundown of the history of Candyman in a very quick synopsis, including his origins from the Books of Blood, which, by the way, are available all the time everywhere at Barnes & Noble. You can find all the Books of Blood. I actually happen to have original copies of the Books of Blood.
Oh, do you want me to
Yes.
talk now?
Yes.
I didn't know it.
That's why I said Katie will now give her thoughts.
Oh, now it's like, yes, I brought my honey for my Candyman review. Candyman 2021, maybe 2019, maybe 2020. I actually would have liked it in 2022 because that would have been, I believe, the 30-year anniversary
Yes.
from the original.
Yes.
However, you know what? It's out. I'm glad. I've been looking forward to this film. I've been looking forward to ever since they did the marketing with the like little shadow puppets as the trailer for the film, which I implore you, if you see this, do not watch the trailer. Just watch the shadow puppet trailer. Don't watch the new one because it really gives a lot of fundamental things of the film away. And I think it would have been a better experience for me if some of these things would have been a spoiler. But directed by Nia DaCosta and starring, I wanted to make sure I wrote these down so I didn't butcher. I probably will still butcher some names, but that's just the way I go.
Yeah.
Abdul Mateen II, Tiana Paris, Coleman Domingo, Vanessa Williams, and Nathan Stewart Jarrett. It is Candyman starts in 1977, Cabrini Green, where you kind of get the origin of where this new version of Candyman, or at least, you know, the urban legends. So this urban legend of Candyman starts in 77, and now you're in Cabrini Green 2019. Anyone who's involved in real estate, I would love to have that apartment in Cabrini Green 2019 because damn, that is a fine place.
Because you live in Chicago too.
Yeah, it is Chicago, and I live in Chicago, and that apartment is sick. It is beyond sick.
How you rode? We were supposed to record this on August 26th, and you were on a bus. You said you drove by Cabrini Greens. What does Cabrini Greens look like in 2021 compared to this version? Which, by the way, if you're seeing this and this is backwards, this is a hint. The reason why I flipped the poster around. This is a double-sided poster. By the way, you can get these for free from me. Contact me on Radio of Horror, thatradioofhorror@gmail.com. I'll send you one. Just pay for shipping. But it's flipped around and backwards because that is something in the movie that is prevalent. That's all I'm going to say. But go on about Cabrini Greens in your own real life.
I mean, I was here in the early aughts, do you call them? The early millennium. I've seen it go from where it was to where it is now. Many of those it's very interesting in at least the 77 because those buildings that they depict are completely leveled now. And a number of the church that is there, that is still there. It has been painted. I remember it being not like that. There was a soccer field where kids could play, playground, some stuff. Those have been kind of all leveled and made into a strip mall. So I mean, it definitely just in not even the 40 years that they depict in the film, but it's like the 20 that I know, there's been a huge change in what it looks like. But it's they discuss that too. They discuss some major gentrification that goes on in those areas, and how they even say like white people built the ghetto and then tear it down when they realize that they built the ghetto. And the city cuts off communities and then just waits for them to die. And then they move people out. And they talk about that a lot in the film, the gentrification. They talk about the story of Candyman. They talk about the story, of Helen and how Helen and her urban legend has and that's the thing with legends, they, details tend to change. And with her story, like what her story was and what now everyone thinks it is and stuff. And that was very interesting to see. But it's about this is about an artist, and and a lot of the things about the film are about art, which I love. It's about an artist named Tony, who is played by Yahya Abdul Mateen. He is living with his girlfriend Brianna, played by Tiana Paris, and Tony's kind of in a rut. He was this up and coming artist that everyone thought was the talk of the town, and he's sort of just trying to find a new muse, and his muse ends up becoming Candyman. And slowly but surely, after that happens, people start to die, people get very much butchered.
Mm.
And it's also it's a reflection on society. And Candyman, I feel like after watching the film, Candyman and Injustice are sort of the same, have parallel, it's like a parallel word. You hear Candyman, and if you say it if you do the whole five, this is my interpretation of it at least. If you invoke Candyman by saying it 5 times in the mirror and you do it in a joking way, you will be punished, because this is not a joke. What happened to each person who is Candyman, is the injustice that befell them. But if you say Candyman when you need them to strike revenge, I think it's a whole different thing, which it's a whole different summoning, which
Do you think summoning Candy, you have to say it 5 times in a row, right? You
Yeah.
can't say it like one time, come back in a couple hours, say it again, come back in a couple hours. Like the spell
No.
has to be cast correctly. It's a spell,
It's supposed to be 5 times in a row.
Okay. Now, what if you just say can't? The fifth time you're saying candy. Oh.
No, he won't come. I mean, he may cut you, but I don't think he's gonna kill you. But it's that whole, like, you got to say the candy man. But
I want somebody to do a parody video, set it up with Tony Todd, do the whole summoning of Candyman, set it up like a real horror movie. But when Candyman shows up, they go running and embrace him with like DVDs. Tony, can you sign my films? And he's just standing there like, fuck.
I mean,
and then he hunts down, and then he goes to hunt down Tony Todd, the actor, and kills him. Be like, motherfucker.
He's at enough cons. People should, people should bring it up to him. He may do it and stuff.
Yeah, like that. I mean, he apparently is not a very expensive actor to hire too, by the way, I've heard. So
I do not know anything about that. I know he is very tall. He is very, very tall. In fact, here's my little Candyman homage with me. And
with the Virginia Madsen, who does return to do a voiceover in this movie. That was really cool. That was new recordings too, by the way. They actually recorded her brand new voiceover. They used a photo from her from 1992. No reason for her to appear as her Freddy Krueger hair melted looking, bald cap that she wore at the end of that movie. I was constantly looking out for someone else to pop up out of that movie from the original film. All we get is the one actor. That's it. One actor returns from the original film, unless I missed something. Obviously that is not the actor who played Baby Anthony from the original.
So I'm not going to give away what the reveal is, because that I thought was kind of obvious in the trailers. That's why I'm asking people not to watch the trailers. But if you don't, the reveal can probably be a little bit better. I like that Vanessa Williams is reprising her role and does that. Don't say his name. I actually thought the art critic that was in it may have been Xander Berkeley's girlfriend, like after he leaves Helen or leaves her out to dry in the original, and she comes back and there's the little grad student. I thought that may have been the art critic. I didn't do any research on that, so I don't know.
That would have been funny, but she probably would have been brought up on murder charges for Trevor's murder, because no one's going to believe that Trevor was murdered by a ghost. And she didn't. Yeah. She didn't see Helen return from the mirror, so she would be the prime suspect. I thought that too. I kept expecting to hopefully see the grad student. We have a new character that's introduced as part of the new lore that was not in the original movie. It would have been interesting to see maybe a cop, like it was just like, oh, I know what happened to Helen, and oh, I believe, don't say that name, and Candyman has become like in this film, and if they do another one, which they possibly could, because Hollywood can't stop, this is becoming like Freddy Krueger. You have to remember who Freddy Krueger is in order to give Freddy power. Candyman does not exist without power of remembering who he is.
Yes. But I think this is a beautiful film. I think it's the reflections and the way Nia DaCosta has done a number of scenes. Like not giving really anything away, but something that's very different is usually when you see scenes of a major metropolis city, they have the overhead, like looking down from the top of the buildings down on the ground. This, she's done it from the ground up, showing how small people can be. And that I thought was absolutely gorgeous. There's a number of scenes. I mean, the cast is impeccable. I thought the acting was great. Practical effects are fantastic. There's definitely some awards I could see that could be nominated, especially with a cast member who just gets completely covered in it. And I mean, it looks real and gross, because even I was like, there's a number of scenes where I get a little feel of Cronenberg, and even Cronenberg and some of John Landis's movie American Werewolf in London. It is definitely has a much stronger social feel to it, though, regarding the everything that has happened in the past and is happening now with the treatment of individuals of color and the injustice that's happened to them. And I don't think it is, I think it's very purposeful, even though this again was supposed to come out last year or before. But when they say his name, it's not just Candyman. It's, I think that's definitely a reference to all on the number of individuals that have met their demise because of the ignorance of people. Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. And that is one of the things that I think the film is really, really pushing and saying in an artistic way, but I don't, I mean, these are things that happen to real people. And when you watch the film, there's an end scene, not an end scene, but it's close to the end where there's reflections in a car where you see in the window. Watch that. If you don't know who one of the first people is, message me. I will tell you, because I had to explain that to a few people actually in the theater because they didn't realize. That I thought was absolutely brilliant. I am very, very excited to see what Nia DaCosta is going to do after this. I mean, I was excited before because I just looking at what they were doing promoting the film, I thought was absolutely ingenious. But seeing her craft and seeing, you know, what she's done with this, and the cinematography is absolutely incredible. I wish they would have had more of the music that was in the original film, because I felt like that just made it more of that beautiful nightmare that the original Candyman was. But this is a whole new era, and it does have, you know, good music, but not like the last one, although you can hear that in some of the parts. I say go see this. I really enjoyed the film. I know there's some scary parts. Again, the practical effects were off the wall. And yeah, I mean, it's made in Chicago, so it's like a little piece of home for me, but I say go see it. I'm wearing this hat because the main character a lot in the film. I just happen to have this, so look at that.
The music definitely, I think, suits the original film in its own way, because the original film is a romance story. Tony has said that multiple times, that it is a Beauty and the Beast romance story, as dark, gothic, horrifically awful as the romance story is. It's a romance story. It's Beauty and the Beast. And this movie is not a romance story. They're not redoing the same plotline. Anyone who keeps saying remake, you need to shut the fuck up. There is no remake. This is not a remake at all. This is its own story. Yeah. Yes, there are stuff carried over. That's gonna happen. It is a direct sequel. Can't say that more. I don't want to get too much more and beyond what the trailers have shown us. So definitely go see it this weekend. It is tracking okay. I don't know anything about the box office these days during the pandemic, but if you can't go see it in theaters, wait till it comes out on Blu-ray, add it to your Candyman collection, buy the original Books of Blood collection from Clive Barker, and read The Forbidden. I know he's put out sometimes they put out really super skinny books based on short stories, like Stephen King's done it. If there's a movie based on a short story, I think there's a Forbidden short story. So if you want to read the original story that Candyman is based on, you can see the similarities and just see how they changed it. Bernard Rose is, took some major liberties with the story in 1992. So, and Katie's right, next year is the 30th anniversary. So maybe we'll be back and we'll talk about the original Candyman. Like, subscribe, comment, check out the rest of the videos here on the Radio Tower YouTube channel. I have these posters and t-shirts to give away. Just pay for shipping. You will get one. No problem. If you live in Worcester, Massachusetts, come down to the Radio Horror Studios and pick one up there. Otherwise, just contact me and you can get a free poster or t-shirt. No problem. Like I said, just pay for shipping. Shipping is not cheap. We'll be back in a couple weeks with, that movie that's coming out from the Saw director, James Wan's new film.
Malignant?
Yes. I saw the preview for that with Candyman.
I did
check out
too.
Katie on that Blonde and check out Katie as well on the Blonde and Facebook page. Yes.